Welcome everyone to the Game Disc Podcast, where every week we discuss a specific video game, brand new, retro, or anything in between, and figure out if it's worth putting on our top 100 games of all time. I'm your host, Simon Esty, and today I'm joined by my co-host,
Mike, also known as the walking, living, breathing encyclopedia of video games.
That's true. That is actually on his resume. Which is good, because we're going to need him today when we talk about Star Fox 64. Does this game hold up and need all these remakes? Or was it perfect the first time? We will answer all those questions, but first, Mike, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic, Simon. I just played the new, DreamWorks All-Star Kart Racing. Currently reviewing that right now. Pretty solid.
Good.
Pretty solid. And it's made by the same guys that did Avatar. So it's kind of wild how that turned out, but
you're not sure how to feel. Oh.
Yeah, they should stick to kart racers. That's how I feel. That's how I'm doing right now.
Well, I'm glad. I'm surprised that you. Did you request it or was it handed to you?
No, I was asked, and I said, "Why not?"
Okay, well, I'm glad that
it's a kart racer. Shrek's in it. You know what I mean?
I'm glad that it was a. Yeah, I'm glad that it was a better time than Avatar. I know.
Yeah, for sure. Anything is at this point.
Yeah. So, are you ready to just jump into the news?
Yeah, let's get it.
Cool. So, kind of the big story this week was Bungie's layoffs. Just jumping right into it.
Yeah, it's been all over Twitter, man.
It's been all over. I think mostly because there was a lot of confusion originally. So at first, when it came out, it was because I think it happened October 30th. So people were like, oh, they're only giving them, a day of healthcare, no severance.
That's it? Wait, there's no...
Well, so that was the original report. But then it seems like there may have been another report where they were actually getting 3 months of healthcare and severance. But this is all made worse by Bungie just not really being very clear with anything. When Epic laid off people, we knew the percentage of the company and we knew the actual headcount. Mm-hmm. With Bungie, they've been kind of trying to hide that. The numbers seem to be around 100, which I don't know what kind of percentage of Bungie that is. But a couple of things that we do know about the layoffs is that this came from Bungie management, not Sony. So a lot of people at first were like, oh, Sony's bought them and they're trimming it because they're not happy with Bungie, whatever. No, this seems to have come from Bungie. Maybe Sony had the final say, but this was Bungie management making these calls. Mm-hmm. Mostly due to a very, very steep drop in revenue of Destiny 2. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, let me backpedal real quick with Sony. What is Sony's involvement with Bungie right now? I don't know, actually.
They own them. They bought them last year?
Really?
Yeah, last year,
yeah, that's
I think it was last year. Was it January?
That went right over my head.
It was either it happened
there's been so many buyouts.
Well, yeah, and this happened kind of in the midst of the Activision Blizzard stuff. So I'm not terribly surprised because it was not only was it in the middle of all that, but it was fast. It was done quickly.
Yeah.
So Sony owns Bungie, and that's another kind of wrinkle to this. In the purchase price, Sony paid $1.2 billion for employee retention because they recognized the employees were the important part of Bungie. But then Bungie just ended up cutting a bunch of them loose anyway. So, but yeah, they missed revenue targets by 47%, I think. But these layoffs seem to be pretty high profile. Kind of I think the biggest one, at least the one I recognized, was Michael Salvatore, who was the composer for Halo and Destiny.
I knew that name sounded familiar.
He's gone, which is insane.
That music was badass, man.
I mean, yeah, he's been at Bungie for what? I mean, he worked, I think, on the original Halo. So
yeah, 22 years ago was Halo's launch. Unless he did Marathon as well. I don't know what music Marathon had though.
I don't know if he did Marathon, but I'm pretty sure he worked with Marty O'Donnell on Halo. But yeah, so it's just wild. So, and it's especially weird because with Bungie, missing the revenue targets with Destiny 2. I mean, do you think we've seen this year a lot of live service games kind of plateauing and even dropping, or at least slowing their growth? I mean, do you think that that's where Destiny 2's at? I don't know about you. I
What
don't
money are they even making anymore in that game?
Well, I mean, it's still huge. But
I know it had a
you're
decent
right.
fan base, but like, are they still doing expansions?
Yeah, they're still doing expansions.
Okay, that's what I'm kind of getting at right now.
Yeah, so they still do expansions. They still have cosmetics and things, microtransactions. Okay. But I think the big problem is that the last expansion was really poorly received. And I think that was kind of a lot of players took that as like a jumping off point. Like, okay, we'll just wait for Destiny 3. So then why get rid of your composer? You're probably going to need him if you make a Destiny 3. But I don't know.
No,
what do
rough.
I know? So yeah, more layoffs, which is a shame because these employees are, I mean, across the industry, all these employees are putting out just insane game after insane game. And so it sucks that
they were blindsided.
Yeah,
because when I was reading a few people's tweets the other day, man, like they didn't see it coming, and they're already on there looking for work. Like they're like, hey, I'm available now.
Yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, because if Sony paid at 1.2 billion, you kind of bring up a point. They all thought they were safe because Sony specifically paid for them to stay there. And so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not.
Yeah, something fishy or something we don't understand is going on.
Yeah, and again, came from Bungie, not Sony. So, but that's where Bungie's at. So it'll be
Sony's. That's actually a whole topic too. After Jim Ryan, I forgot somebody else just stepped down. I don't know if that was a week or two ago now.
From Sony?
Yeah, there was something else after Jim Ryan had come up. I forgot what though. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, let me know. Because I just typed in Sony step down, and the only thing I see is Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan, and then there was somebody else. I feel like it's just been crazy news with Sony though the past like few months, and then the price hike. Obviously, we discussed that.
Yeah, which was already. Yeah, it just seems like, it's just, Sony's been having a good year, but I think that sentiment is not great, and Bungie is now part of Sony, so any negative sentiment towards Bungie is negative sentiment towards Sony, so hopefully they can, hopefully, I hope they've got something up their sleeve for 2024, because with the exception of Wolverine, we don't really know a whole lot else that Sony has on
they need
plate.
A roadmap, because it's scary, because like I finished Spidey already. Spidey's great. Yeah. And I'm sure Wolverine's going to be fantastic too. But yeah, Project Eve, I was talking to somebody about the other day. We haven't seen anything from that. Or Stellar Blade. That's what it's called now, Stellar Blade.
Yeah.
There hasn't been any updates on that game.
No, we don't know. I mean, Sucker Punch is probably in the trenches for something. Naughty Dog is probably, supposedly they're still working on The Last of Us multiplayer, which who knows.
That was on ice, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Right?
After Bungie said maybe this isn't good. Well, maybe Bungie shouldn't be making that call.
Yeah.
But so it's a rough time for Sony, but I mean, they're still putting out good games, and at the end of the day, that's mostly what matters.
You know who it's not a rough time for?
Microsoft?
Capcom again. I got to bring up Capcom because apparently there's a reputable Resident Evil leaker who I believe was right about Village, like a year.
Dusk Golem?
What's that?
Is it Dusk Golem?
I forget the name. I forget who I was watching the other day that was talking. It might have been Maximilian Dude or somebody, but apparently Resident Evil 9 is going to have the biggest budget of any Resident Evil title. And I already know that game's going to sell. Like, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah,
the track record's been great.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, after, they've been 2, 4, and 7 and 8 have all just been, they've all exceeded expectations from what I have gathered. So it makes sense, give it a little bit more. Hopefully they kind of keep it a little measured so that it's still, Resident Evil I know sells well, but it doesn't sell like Call of Duty well. So hopefully,
of course.
And that was the problem with like Final Fantasy 16. It sold well.
It breaks my heart, man.
Yeah, it sold well, but it didn't sell well enough to where it needed to. And then Square Enix is like, yeah, it's sold, but we needed more. It's like, okay, well,
I try telling
that's
the
on you.
townspeople, man. Like, you gotta tell the townspeople, listen, hey, all you people, please play these games.
Yeah. Well, at some point, it's these companies too. Like, you got to rein in the budgets a little bit. Know where the success is. Like I said, Final Fantasy 16 sold, I think, like 3 or 4 million copies in its first couple days. That's a lot, right?
Yeah.
If that's not the level of success you were looking for, maybe the game isn't the problem. But yeah, that's hope. I'm sure the Resident Evil 9 will be great. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely.
Whether I play it on Xbox or PlayStation, and if I play it on Xbox, I will not be able to use my third-party controller because Microsoft just announced that they will no longer allow unauthorized third-party accessories for the Xbox. Yeah, this is kind of weird. I mean, we talked last week about Smash Bros. And how Nintendo kind of did something similar with Smash tournaments where you have to use official Nintendo accessories. People might have, for whatever reason, I think Xbox actually does have their own accessibility controller, but some people who might need those things might have one they prefer, so why not just give them the option? I don't know. I mean,
I feel like that's gonna cause so much. I mean, it has already stirred up controversy.
Yeah,
but even around that as well, like people who are handicapped and they already had a controller that was third party that maybe is more accessible than even their official accessibility controller. That's going to definitely present problems if enough people are vocal about it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. It doesn't. I mean, I'm sure Microsoft has their reasons, but from the outside looking in, it doesn't seem. Good. Yeah, it does.
It's not a good look.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed it. But what was looking pretty good was Digital Eclipse. They thought they were doing some pretty good work, and Atari thought so too. So they bought them for $20 million.
I remember seeing them a lot on Game Boy Advance. I'm trying to remember what all they've done.
Did they work on
Did they do the X-Men? I had an X-Men game for Game Boy that was amazing.
Oh, you're right. They did work on stuff. So I only know them as the company who is really big into video game preservation.
Wait. They've done Castlevania Anniversary and all that, right? Well, that was M2. That might have been M2.
Yeah, that wasn't them. They did so originally they were known as a different company. As Digital Eclipse. That's weird. So from 2015 on...
Oh, they did do the X-Men game. Sorry.
No, you're right. They did a lot of Game Boy Advance games.
Reign of Apocalypse. Yep.
But from 2015 on, they've mostly been doing collections. You're right. They didn't do the Castlevania... Oh, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. They didn't do the Castlevania one, but they did do a lot of other ones. Their first big one was the fantastic Mega Man Legacy Collection. And then they've done like the Disney Afternoon Collection, Street Fighter 30th. Their big ones though were the Atari 50, which I haven't played, but I want to play it so bad.
Ooh, is that the one that came out like last year?
Yeah, and it's like
it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good, like just a fantastic documentary. And then this year they did the making of Karateka, which is also supposed to be just like a fantastic playable documentary, basically.
I've never heard of that. What is that, Karateka?
Yeah, it's an old fighting game, I think, and they just kind of did a similar thing where they put out a documentary game called The Making of Karateka, and I guess it's just as good as Atari 50. So, they've been doing a lot of these kind of classic revivals and really well put together packages that are not only interested in letting you play these games like they were originally made, but also giving you a little bit of behind the scenes work on them. And I think that's why Atari bought them, because Atari seems to be in this mode where it's like they're trying to figure out where they want to stand as a video game company. And I think they've landed on, we're just going to be the retro game company.
They might as well capitalize on that because, I mean,
that's their thing.
When it comes to video game companies, I mean, they precede Nintendo even.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Atari 2600, that was the big household console.
Yeah.
And up until the video game crash of 83, of course.
Yeah.
So I think that's a smart move by Atari. And also, game preservation is such a touchy subject anyways, where I think it's like some crazy number where only 17% of all available games in the world are playable. or something.
Jeez, I didn't know that.
Completionist. I think Completionist talked about that. I don't know if you saw his like mini documentary he did when he bought the entire eShop before it closed.
I read about it. I didn't watch it though.
Fantastic, by the way. What Gerard did for game preservation was fantastic. So
yeah,
kudos to him.
I've been meaning to check it out. It's funny you brought that up because to bring it kind of back to Digital Eclipse, one of the main guys there is somebody named Frank Cifaldi. I think it's Cifaldi or Kifaldi, and he does a podcast called the Video Game History Hour, which is a really good podcast where basically every episode they go through and they basically just talk about a game that's basically was lost to time or didn't come out or whatever. And he did have the Completionist on it when he did do the eShop thing and kind of interviewed him, and it was really interesting. So
I haven't heard that interview. I saw was it Wood and Bob, from a Nintendo podcast, did a pretty good interview with him. So what's the podcast that you were talking about? Video Game Hour?
Video Game History Hour, yeah.
Video Game History Hour. I'm gonna have to check that out. Thank you.
Yeah, that's kind of when I became a fan of Digital Eclipse, when I started listening to that podcast. And they've got a lot of knowledge, and they have like their own foundation to kind of preserve stuff. So they're doing good work over there. So I'm glad to see Digital Eclipse getting some funding, and that will make sure to get their games for a long time.
And good on Atari. That's a good move.
I think it is. I think it's a good fit. I know a lot of people are afraid of consolidation in it, but I think that this is one that makes sense.
Absolutely.
The other kind of big news, well, I don't know, should have been big news, but it feels like it wasn't, was BlizzCon was this week. And during the opening ceremony, I was driving to LA when this was going on, so I just kind of breezed through it. But it seems like the big things were the first Diablo 4 expansion was announced. It's going to be called Vessel of Hate, and it's coming out 2024. And then we've got 3 World of Warcraft expansions.
Oh my god, in 2020.
I don't think all 3 of these are coming out in 2024. Basically, they announced, so Chris Metzen, who was kind of like one of like the OG guys on WoW, he left and then he came back, and so these are, I think, kind of the beginning. Signs, I think that these are kind of the beginning of his story that he's kind of telling, and it's going to be this trilogy of expansions: War Within, then Midnight, and then The Last Titan. With the War Within coming out in 2024, and then Midnight and Last Titan probably coming out like 2025, 2026. Maybe they're all coming out.
People are excited for it.
Yeah,
WoW is. I've had my little time with WoW back in the day. I didn't really play much, but I thought it was fun, and I moved on because I know a game like that encompasses your whole world.
Yeah, but that's why I never got into it. I was afraid of that.
So I hope people do enjoy that. I hope they enjoyed those announcements from BlizzCon.
Well, yeah, we're not even done yet, because not only did they announce 3 WoW expansions, but they also announced Cataclysm coming to WoW Classic.
So what's the difference? There's a WoW Classic, and then there's a more modern WoW.
So there's like WoW, which is the game that was like that started however many years ago.
The 2003, right, or whatever,
whatever year it was. Yeah, it's been going on forever now. And then a couple of years ago, they announced WoW Classic, which was basically just vanilla WoW. Here's WoW when it launched in 2003. It is that game.
Oh, so I mean, like, I'm not gonna play it, but that's cool.
Yeah, it makes sense. And so now they're kind of like, hey, Cataclysm, which is a really popular expansion, that's going to be coming to WoW Classic.
That's like they did RuneScape. They did old school RuneScape, and then they did like whatever modern RuneScape. Yeah. That's cool.
It's just that. So it's for people who maybe don't like all the new modern WoW. They can go back and play something. So it's cool. So yeah, Cataclysm is coming to WoW Classic. And then on the Overwatch front, which is kind of the only one I vaguely pay attention to, because my fiance plays Overwatch, so I kind of follow that a little bit. There's a new hero. He's Samoan. His name is, I think it's pronounced Malga. He's a new tank who uses 2 gigantic chain guns. He looks pretty cool. I like his design.
I thought he looked like The Rock's character in Moana.
Yeah, he 100% does.
Like, I'm sure everybody's already made that comparison.
I was about to say that. I was like, what movie was that from? I know who you're talking. I could picture him in his mind. You're right. He 100%. And I don't see, I'm sure everybody has made that connection, because he looks just like him. If you gave that dude chain guns, he would look just like Malga. Which maybe they should. I don't know. I haven't seen Moana 2, but if there even is a sequel. I've never seen Moana.
Somebody's screaming at us right now.
Yeah, they're like, actually, there is a Moana 2 and there are no chain guns. Well, maybe in Moana 3 then.
Yeah, sell more tickets.
And then the last kind of announcement was Hearthstone is getting an expansion coming out November 14th.
That's still going strong too, huh?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, I was never really big in. Were you big into Hearthstone? I really wasn't.
No, card games like that. Well, it depends. Like obviously Yu-Gi-Oh, growing up, Pokemon, yada yada.
Marvel
Snap.
But
when it comes to
did you play any Marvel Snap?
No, every Game Awards, actually every Jeff Keighley hosted event. I think it's a meme at this point. They always make sure they have like a 5-minute spot on Marvel Snap. I'm like,
go ahead.
No, I'm like, it's ridiculous. I'm like, dude, come on, 5 minutes.
I love that game when it came out. I was addicted for like a good month, and then
I sleep at mobile games, man. I was like,
I do too, but this one
is it good?
That edge. I don't know if it still is, but it was
they
when
have
it came out.
Midnight Suns now. I don't know how well that did though.
I heard Midnight Suns was really good, but it just didn't do well.
I was like, card game. I'm like, come on.
I give it a shot. It's not like, because it's. I mean, it launched only on phones. It's a good game to just have on your phone. Like, oh, I've got a couple minutes to kill. I'll do a round.
Yeah, you're at the airport.
The rounds are really short too. Mm-hmm. And it's like pretty free to play, and I never really felt like I needed to spend money. Maybe that, again, all of this could have changed. I haven't played the game in a long time, but I really enjoyed it, and I typically don't like phone games either. But as far as kind of phone games go, this one is perfect. I think this was exactly what I was looking for in a just a dumb little phone game, and it's Marvel, and I like comic books. So
yeah, that's cool to hear though.
Yeah, give it a shot. It's free. And then you added these, so I'll let you talk about this, but NSO is getting an update.
Yeah, so NSO had a really interesting update this week that kind of just came out of nowhere.
That's a good way to put it.
As we were just talking about before, Castlevania Anniversary Collection that launched a few years ago did not come with Castlevania Legends. Mm-hmm. So that was added this week on the Game Boy side of things, which is a really cool inclusion. And then NES got some Famicom stuff, both translated for the West now, which is great. You got Devil World, which is that blue dude with the red Speedo you remember from Smash Brothers Brawl. That was like, pain in the ass assist trophy. Probably tied with Nintendog. I don't know. They were both pretty bad.
But Nintendog's at least cute.
Yeah, but get off the screen. Fuck off my screen.
Fair enough.
You got the mysterious Murasame Castle, which I've always been interested in. I just never played it.
Yeah, was this the one made by Miyamoto?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I forget who else. It was 2 other prolific people on the team as well.
Okay.
But yeah, that's Takemaru's game, who's also, I think he first appeared in Smash Ultimate. I don't know if he was in Smash Wii U as an assist trophy, but I always thought he was cool looking. So now this week, we'll all have the chance to play both of these games translated in English.
Wasn't there a third one? Or am I crazy?
No, it was just these 3. It's been a really cool time to be a Famicom fan.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it now. I don't know what my brain was. I totally missed. I was looking at our rundown doc. I only saw 2 of them. I saw Legends and Murasame Castle, and I was like, there was a third one. Where was the third one?
Yeah, that's why I had to put them in bold. Yeah, Devil World's right next to
you. Did everything right. I just can't see things that are
your
from
eyes
my face.
Deceive you.
I guess so. I don't know how I missed the 3 bolded things.
He's saying,
to
guys,
the 2.
don't get old, man.
Yeah, I don't do it.
Don't do it.
I don't. This isn't even. This is just me. Whatever. I don't know, man. That's not even an old thing. This is just not looking at something correctly. But whatever. All right.
But anyway, outside of Simon's eyes, just giving up on him tonight.
Yeah, my body's just shutting down. I don't know if I'll be here next week, guys. I don't know if I'm gonna make it.
Oh man.
You have to go on without me. Coordinate. I'll put that in my will. You'll have to you and Noah will have to do one every week for the rest of your lives.
The show must go on.
Yeah. No.
But it has been an interesting time to be a Famicom fan specifically, because now that we got these 2 games fully translated, We also got Sukapan, I think, a few months ago that wasn't translated, but it's a fighting game, so
Oh,
it's not
cool.
hard to navigate the menus. And he's also an assist trophy in Smash Ultimate. He's like that pink dude that will like
Yeah,
throw his body parts.
I think I remember him.
Yeah, it's like Rayman almost, like early Rayman, precursor to Rayman. But yeah, no, that's really cool. And then obviously going back, we had Famicom Detective Club remakes a few years ago.
Yeah.
So it's just been a cool time to get into the Japanese side of Nintendo's games, the exclusive stuff.
Yeah,
So
well, even
I'm all for it.
Yeah, even outside of like the old NES stuff, in January we have the new another code or recode or whatever, the Wii game, or there was the DS game that had a Wii sequel.
Was it the one with the girl on the front?
Yeah. So the Wii, that collection has the DS game, I think, and the Wii one, and the Wii one never came out here either. So yeah, it's cool that we're kind of getting a lot of these games that just never released here.
Just not Mother 3.
No, not that one. Never.
Like everything you guys will get.
Never that one.
I have a feeling that they're saving Mother 3.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go out and say I believe it. Probably won't, but
no, I think
full on remake.
Yes, yeah, I think they're going to do a full on remake. I don't think they're definitely not going to just toss it on NSO.
No, it's been too long now,
and they know they could make some money off of it.
Oh, they're going to make bank off Mother 3 remake.
I think remake. I think they do just like maybe they get the guys who do like the Octopath, the like HD 2D. Maybe that's all you need to do. Sell it for $50 or whatever.
You know what? That's a good point, because I was almost thinking like the Mario RPG route, like do 3D models.
They could
but
do that
honestly,
too. But I think that's
Octopath would be cooler. I think the HD 2D would be cooler,
and I think it might be cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna sell regardless, because we haven't played Mother 3 unless you did the unofficial fans translations.
Yeah.
So I think either way it would be fantastic. Yeah, I wish they would release that original demo or whatever they had for the N64.
Oh yeah, it's funny you brought that up. That video game history hour, they do an episode about the Nintendo 64 version of Mother 3.
Yeah, that was so cool.
It's really interesting.
I love seeing
I didn't even know about it until I listened to that, and I was like, oh, sure.
Yeah, I saw the screenshots and stuff, and there was a little bit of footage, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nintendo, do it. HD 2D Mother 3, I'm here for it. Yeah, I'm sure everybody else is here for it too.
Oh yeah.
Give us Mother 3.
Well, and after another game that never came out here was Live Alive, and they did that. They did HD 2D for that, and it ended up selling pretty good, and I really liked that game. So
yeah, I saw my roommate play. It looked great.
It's really cool. If you like it's a good kind of old 32-bit JRPG. It's cool.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, man. I'm waiting for my Chrono Trigger remake. In that style would be fantastic.
Yeah, they'll get to it someday.
Hopefully.
And then you also put this. I'll let you talk about this.
There was a few other Nintendo goodies that came out this week. We had WarioWare Move It, which just came out on Friday, and it's been selling really well, and the reviews have been doing very well. And it looks like fun. Most WarioWare games I've played have always been fun. Yeah. So I have no doubt about this one. That's a nice little family game for the holiday season. Perfect time slot. They put it right in the beginning of November. Perfect.
Yeah, I always see WarioWare games and I'm like, that looks great. I'm gonna pick it up, and then I never do. The only one I've played is I think Touched, the DS one.
Was that on DS? Yeah.
Yeah, and I liked it.
Smooth
I played a lot of
Moves was my favorite.
Which one was that? Was that Wii?
That was the Wii one. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard. I thought this one looked really cool. I thought the last Switch one looked cool. I just never get around. I don't know. I just never get around to it.
Because they're glorified party games. Also, I mean,
it is, but it's like
a big ask.
Yeah, it is like it's like a party game by yourself.
Yeah, it's just
like
games.
It's like, what if you played what? Okay, what lunatic plays Mario Party by themselves?
Me in first grade. with my copy of Mario Party 4.
Well, that's
I
different.
had no
You were
friends.
a child, and you had no other option. But
nowadays, that's psychotic.
That would, if somebody was like, oh, like what games do you like? Oh, I like Mario Party. Oh, like you like playing with people? No, I'll just pick up the new Mario Party. I'll run through the campaign. I'll 100% it. I'd be like, oh,
yeah,
I don't know.
Like,
if I
that's
should be
not something I want to fuck with.
Yeah, I don't feel safe. Please get out of my house. And that's what WarioWare is. WarioWare is just it's single player Mario Party without the stigma of being a lunatic.
And you can have fun with that, but like, it is a big ask because I think it is a $60 title.
Yeah, I think the last one was $40, but this one it might be $60.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let me see actually real quick. WarioWare move it. Knowing Nintendo, I mean, it's a very Nintendo move to make that $60. Yeah, it is. It's taking forever to load on Nintendo's website. $49.99.
That's not bad. I mean,
okay, you know what? That's a very nice price point.
Yeah. Good for them.
If you want to get a little crazy with it, you can bring it out at a party. WarioWare is always good fun.
Yeah, I feel like that actually you probably
especially in the company of others.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. So good on everybody who's good on all those Wario fans. I would like a new Wario World, but
don't. That breaks my heart, man. Wario World is such a fantastic game, and it's just like it's jank as hell. Like I've gone back and play it every now and then. Like it's jank, but it's great jank.
It's so good, and it's not like it's not like frustrating jank. It's just like it's good. That game's biggest problem is it's just like short.
Is I have a rotten day. Like he talks so much shit.
It's so good. I would love a new Wario World, but we'll see. Nintendo has other plans. All right, your last piece of news.
Yeah, so for all you Tears of the Kingdom nuts out there, we just got the last two amiibos for Tears of the Kingdom. We got Ganondorf and Zelda, and I'm looking at them. They're right next to me, and they are fantastic. They're everything I wanted out of them when I saw how they looked initially. Ganondorf especially, like his design in Tears of the Kingdom is just
it's so good.
On point. And having it as an amiibo, like he doesn't have a circular pedestal like all other amiibos do. He's like his foot is like on a rock. Like it's really grand looking.
Badass.
That's why I think it was like $20 that one, because Zelda was $15, and I believe Ganondorf was $20. I could be wrong.
I had them pre-ordered, but I canceled it because I was like, well, I missed out on the Link one anyway, and that'd be weird to just have those two without Link, and I don't want to spend $35 on them right now. But
I spent an obscene amount of money on Tears of the Kingdom across merch, across the collector's edition, the amiibos.
I pre-ordered the collector's edition, but then I canceled it. But I did get I did pre-order it from Walmart, so I got the cool flag that was like,
they still gave that to you?
Well, so I pre-ordered the collector's edition from like Best Buy, and then I pre-ordered the cool flag from Walmart, and then I kept in the standard edition, and then I kept my cool flag.
That's cool.
I kept my Walmart version because I ended up returning the collector's edition, so I got my cool flag.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was a nice collector's edition.
It was
really nice.
Yeah, I went back and forth, and then I was just like, no, I'll return it. There's somebody who wants it more. But I did go back and forth. That's why
it's expensive. You know what I mean? Like these days, like it's really hard. Like I used to love buying my collector's editions once upon a time, and I would try to get it from most of the big games I cared about. But now with time so hard, you got to really be sparing about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what, Zelda, I'll go big.
Yeah, because it used to be like collector's editions were like an expensive collector's edition was like $90.
Yeah, I was gonna say like $100. And I think God of War 2018 I paid maybe $120, maybe.
Yeah, I paid.
That was a nice collector's edition.
I remember like one of my favorite collector's editions was Dead Space 2, because it was $70 and it came with a little plasma cutter and I think like a CD and an art book. And I was like, that's pretty good for like $10 extra. And there's been a couple like that. I got like the
that's a kick-ass game to get a collector's edition for.
Yeah, I still have it.
That's awesome.
And then I got like the Mega 10 or not. Yeah, Shin Megami Tensei 5 Collector's Edition, because that was like, I thought that was like pretty reasonably priced.
That looked nice.
Yeah,
my
cool.
roommate has it.
Yeah, it's cool.
And that game is still factory sealed in my collection because adult life.
Yeah, it's
so
I got lucky with that game because it came out and then I had to like house sit. So I just brought my Switch, and so I just tore through it like that weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a good game. Speaking of Atlas and Sega had their financial briefing. They didn't, at least the article I read, didn't have any solid numbers, but a couple of kind of key points. Sonic has moved 1.6 billion copies total. So if you add up all the Sonic games, they've all sold total 1.6 billion. Mostly this kind of number is attributed to Sonic Frontiers, which I think has sold very well for Sega.
Sonic's been killing it, man.
Yeah. I really liked Frontiers. I know it was still janky. It still had that Sonic jank. I haven't played Superstars yet. But
loved it.
Yeah, you famously loved it. But I really liked Frontiers. I thought it was it's definitely the best 3D Sonic game.
Hopefully I get to it before I retire. I've had it since last Christmas. I have not found a good opportunity to sit down with it yet. So
yeah,
the updates look great. Knuckles, Tails. You got Amy, right? It's just the three of them.
Yeah. You might also play as a new character, but I don't know. I heard the DLC is not great.
No, you're right. Yeah, you do play as that character too.
Okay, Sage, I think. I heard the DLC is not great. It's like overly difficult, like and balanced kind of poorly.
In a bad way?
Yeah, like it's just not balanced correctly. So I haven't played the DLC, but I played the main game, and the main game's great. I really
it was fun from when I played. I had to touch it at least.
Yeah.
So I ran around for a little bit, just did loops and whatever. They had like that Pokemon Ranger type thing where you would like draw a circle around them or whatever. That was cool.
It gets better as you play too. The biggest complaint I have is that Sonic moves so slow in that game at the very beginning because speed is an upgrade. So if you enjoyed
I thought that was a slider.
It's both.
Oh, okay.
So you can put the slider. Yeah. You can put the slider. There is a slider to like help if you're like struggling with things and he's moving too fast. But there's also every time you get like 100 rings or something, you can buy a speed boost, which then Sonic runs a little bit faster.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So by the end, like you're booking it, and which is why he goes slow at the beginning, but it does make the beginning a little slow.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Whenever I get to it.
I really like it. Like I said, I think it's one of the better Sonic games.
One last thing about Sonic before we head into the rest of Sega's
go ahead.
Financial briefings. We also did get news this week that they said they want to outpace Mario. And to that I say good luck.
Yeah, what do you mean by outpace? Do you mean sell more copies? Because
be the bigger brand. They're trying to sell more games, be bigger in the movie space.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And to that I say good luck. I mean, I love both of those properties. But I don't see a universe where Doctor Strange doesn't even see an outcome where Sonic outpaces Mario in that regard. Sorry.
No, like Mario will sell no matter what, because even a bad Mario game is pretty good.
Mario's the whole planet, man. You remember that commercial? Mario.
Exactly.
Mario. Yeah.
Like you don't like I can buy a Mario game blind and know I'm gonna have a good time. With Sonic, you're playing Russian roulette, but there's 5 bullets in the chamber. Like maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe like that's like
that is a really good analogy because that's what it feels like to be a Sonic fan.
Like you get your manias, your superstars, your frontiers, your generations, but then you also get like your unleashed and your forces and your whatever's like
unleashed. Man, I don't know. Unleashed is okay.
I mean,
it could have been worse.
I'm harsh. I don't even think Generations is that good.
Whoa!
I played it for the first time a couple of months ago, and I was like, "This game is not very good."
I'm gonna have to debate you on that sometime.
Okay, I'm down. I just don't think. Yeah, I
hard disagree.
I get it. I don't know. I just don't. Maybe it's because I played it after Frontiers, but Sonic moves.
That could be because I played it when it came out in 2011.
Yeah,
I mean, we've had 12 years of highs and lows for Sonic. You know what I mean? And Frontiers change the formula again, which is great.
He just feels too clunky, but whatever. I know people like it. I'm glad people like it. Not for me. Another franchise that isn't for me is Total War. I've never played any of these, but people apparently buy a lot of them because they sold 43.4 million. And then we've got Like a Dragon, which has moved to 21.3 million. And finally, Persona, which has moved 17.7 million. I'm kind of surprised,
insane,
but
man.
Actually, no. I guess I'm not surprised by that. I was gonna say I'm surprised. Like a Dragon has sold more than Persona, but I guess that actually makes sense because there's like 10 Like a Dragon games or Yakuza
Dude,
games.
I feel like every second that passes, a Yakuza game comes out, and I feel like I think a part of that is because I haven't I've never beaten one. I played Like a Dragon for like half an hour on Xbox Game Pass, and it was cool. It's just I was like, I don't have time.
Yeah, that is
that's all it is.
I played Zero, and I really liked it.
It looks up my alley. I played Shenmue. I mean, it's better than Shenmue.
My issue with Yakuza, and I know that this is like a terribly unpopular opinion. I don't necessarily. A lot of people like it because of the goofy side quests and like mini games and stuff. I don't like that part about it. I like playing it as just a straight crime drama. Mm-hmm. I think that it's got such a cool story. But I know that I'm in like the minority. I know people love that you can be in like the middle of like this like Scorsese-esque film and then all of a sudden dress like a chicken for a commercial or something wild. Like I know people like that about it.
They look absolutely insane. I know the commercial was it like I think it was Summer Game Fest. It was either that or Microsoft. I think it was Microsoft's conference this past summer where he was like naked on a beach.
Oh yeah, that's for the new one, Infinite Wealth or something. Yeah,
I can't even keep count. Like I said, every second that passes, a new Yakuza game comes out.
So because there's been like 3 or 4 within the past couple of years. There's been like a Dragon, and then there was Ishin, which was like a spin-off that took place in like samurai times, and then there was The Man with No Name, which is like a precursor to Infinite Wealth, which is the next main line. But
hey, man, I mean. That's awesome. The team is, doing good work. I know people really enjoy these games. Hopefully, that's my famous catchphrase now.
Yeah,
is hopefully one day.
Yeah,
hopefully
I feel the same way. Like I said, I played Zero. I really liked it. I'd love to play 1 through 30, but we'll just see if we get to it. And then for our feel good story of the week, more than 24 games have scored higher than a 90 on Metacritic in 2023. That is absolutely insane. It has been a really good year for gaming. I know that's not the best feel-good story, but just know that we're all playing some really good games this year.
That is a damn good feel-good story.
Everybody, no matter what kind of game you like, I'm sure that some game came out that is tickling your fancy and incredibly good. This year has been absolutely insane.
I'm going to go on record during this podcast at this very moment. And I'm going to say that 2023 has been the best year in gaming history. That's a crazy claim. I've done the numbers. I've thought of 2001. I've gone to 2007, 2017, 97, all that stuff, man. Me personally, 2023 has just been too much.
I'm
personally
and if somebody said that, I'm not surprised. I could totally see by that. I said this kind of last week about Mario Wonder. I'm still too close to the picture. I got to step back and see. I'll revisit it next year and I'll be like, yeah, I could see myself. I could see myself agreeing with that. So that's all of our news for the week. Oh, we're doing pretty good on time too. So now we're going to get right into our game of the week. Unless Mike, you wanted to take a break, or are you good?
No, let's just
get into it. Cool.
Yeah.
So
what are we hopping into?
We're flying into our weekly game discussion about Star Fox 64 for the Nintendo 64.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. We're going to talk about it, figure out if it's going on our list. So as per usual, Mike, what do you like? What do you dislike? And kind of spoiler free, and who would you recommend it to? Go.
Okay. So what I was talking to Simon earlier about this. The thing with Nintendo is their main draw is a lot of their characters too, right? Like their character designs are so iconic, so legendary. That was the big pull for me with Star Fox 64 initially, because I don't typically play games like that where you're doing dog fighting, stuff like that. Like I've played 2D shmups and stuff like that. If you want to call Star Fox a 3D shmup, I guess like Space Harrier or whatever, but Star Fox 64 just it's very short. That's what I don't like about it.
Yeah.
I'll say that first before I really dig into what I do like about it. That's really my only gripe. I'll get that out of the way now. It's just too short. Outside of that, I think it made people believers. It made me a believer of 3D shoot 'em ups. I'm gonna call it action, whatever. The characters, the music, just everything about it. Like it was just fun to play.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. Yeah, something I like is I think you kind of nailed it. It's a very approachable game. Never really played a dogfighting game, but it makes it make sense. And then something I didn't like, there's not really, I'm trying to think of any big thing. I mean, sometimes some of the voice lines, Slippy could be annoying. Falco's a dick.
See, I think that adds to the charm.
It does. I look back and it's like
Slippy's a piece of shit, but he's my piece of shit.
yeah,
you know what I mean?
He's like, oh, like I could fuck him up, but you can't. Like that's my boy. Like
yeah, exactly.
Falco, and Falco is like just a dick, but it's like in the same way like Cartman from South Park is like, yeah, he's an asshole, but he's kind of
you love him.
Yeah. But it can be a little annoying when they're just like, get this guy off me. Get this guy off me. It's like, I'm trying.
Every 5
I've
seconds.
got other stuff to do.
I know, like,
I'm a little busy here. And as for who I'd recommend this to, anybody. I think this is such an easy game to pick up and play. So I guess now we'll go into full spoilers. Not really a whole lot of spoilers you can do with this game, but if for some reason you care about spoilers for Star Fox 64, I guess we'll see you next time. Spoilers.
What is it, 20, 25 years?
Yeah. Well, and even then, it's like, what are we going to spoil? Spoiler alert, Fox
fights Andros.
Dead, and he fights Andros. And yeah. And I think his dad was already dead. So, yeah. Well, actually, I did think of one other thing that I don't like about this game. And this might be unpopular. I think that this game, as good as it is, ruined like the Star Fox franchise. I think because
I feel like I know why you're gonna say that.
Yeah, go ahead. They haven't really figured out how to move on. Like they've done things like Command and Assault and Adventure, and all of those are good in their own way, but they're not 64. Like,
Assault was so close.
Yeah,
the only problem
I like about Assault.
Yeah, and it's just like the on foot section. I remember playing it at a demo at Target. It blew my mind seeing Fox like finally with the blaster, because I had played Adventures already.
Yeah, because the whole time when you're playing Adventure, you're like, but what if I had a gun? And it's like, well, yeah, that's not this game.
They tease it because Fox is like, well, what about my blaster? You know what I
mean? Great Fox impression.
Oh, thank you.
Did you voice him in Adventure?
Yeah. And what was it? That game came out what, 2002? I played it in 2003. Yeah, I was in first grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was me, man.
Yeah, nice, cool.
But was it gonna what were we just talking about? I lost my train of thought of all that Fox impersonating.
You were talking about assaults and guns.
Yeah. So like, I feel like with a little bit more refinement, Assault could have been the best. It could have.
Yeah, I don't necessarily
just not 64.
Disagree. Yeah, but I mean, when you look at it, I think that that's part of the reason why Nintendo's go-to is always to just go remake 64. Like, I mean, 64 is in a way kind of a remake of the first one, and then you've got the DS one, Star Fox 64 3D, and then even
where I first beat it.
Oh, really? That was the first time you played Star Fox 64?
No, it wasn't the first time I played 64, but it's where I beat it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So I was actually a late bloomer. As much as I love Nintendo and they're my number one, I didn't get an N64 until I was like 12.
Okay.
So I grew up with Super Nintendo and PS1, but yeah, I'd played Star Fox 64 at a friend's house, and I always thought it was great. And it's crazy. If I sat down and played it, I probably could have beat it that night.
Oh
It's
yeah,
only like a 4 to 6 hour game.
it's real short. I remember I didn't have it, but my buddy did, and so like in like first, second grade, I'd always go over there, and I sucked at it because I didn't have the game, but he would just tear through it in a couple of hours, and he knew all of like the routes. He'd be like, I want to do the submarine
like,
level
the secret
this time.
routes and stuff.
Yeah, he'd be like, I want to do the submarine level this time. I'd be like, what? There's a submarine level.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think that Nintendo just hasn't really, they don't know what to do with this franchise just because 64 was so good. It's like but you can't really like build on it. Like Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, those games like revolutionized those franchises, but then they've been easier to kind of like build on. Like obviously
time.
Yeah, Wind Waker, Galaxy, like you can do other things with those. At the end of the day, like Star Fox just feels so much more limited, and Assault I think was a good step in the right direction, but like you said, I think they just weren't quite there, which is a shame. But
I think that's what you build upon, honestly. Where now we're gonna go back to Assault real quick. I think that's where you go naturally if you can get the mechanics to a point where you really refine it, like where it's not like that. What was that, 6th generation GameCube and all that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like of course some of the games have aged well, but Assault definitely feels weird when you're coming out of the tank on foot. If you can do that well, where you're behind cover, maybe like I don't know. I'm like thinking Gears of War in my head, but like I don't know.
No, but I don't think that that's wrong. Though actually, we should probably go back to 64 because yeah, we're talking about 64, not Assault.
Yeah.
But yeah, so kind of going back to 64, I think that is just like such a, yeah, they really just nailed it. Like everything in that game feels good. Barrel rolls, somersaults, just like the aiming, it's all just so intuitive. You feel like an ace pilot.
Yeah.
And they do a good job of mixing everything up,
It made me care about that genre. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
No, 100%. And even outside of like that, like they did do such a good job of mixing things up. Like you've got your normal just like on rails shooting, and then you would get into a level where you have like 360 degrees and you can fly around and you're in like these awesome dogfights. And then you do have a submarine level and then like a landmaster tank level. And all of these kind of use the same base mechanics, but they're all just done in different ways, which is what Nintendo has always done so well.
Yeah.
And Star Fox really just kind of exemplified that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to kind of going back to complaints, I mean, the characters are fine, or not the characters, the story is like whatever.
It's better. Yeah,
it's a Nintendo game. Like it's not gonna really. Yeah, it's a Nintendo game.
That's literally it. There's you don't play a game like Star Fox for a story. It's an arcadey game. That's the best way to describe it.
It's not even an arcadey. It is straight up just an arcade game. It's got different routes. You can play it in one sitting if you want to. I think your 6 hour is like kind of generous. I think it's closer to like you said 4 to 6. I think it's like 3 to 4.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it depends on kind of how long
if you suck ass.
Yeah, like me.
Oh yeah, I died a whole bunch.
Yeah,
first time around, and then you just keep playing it. Obviously, that applies to any game, but so specifically, I did play mostly on the 3DS version and beat it on the 3DS version. But there's no major difference outside of gyroscope and better graphics, of course.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same game. But I think that. Yeah, even though it is like, because it's a little bit of a tougher game, but I think, like you said, it is an arcade game. That's by design. You're supposed to play through this game multiple times. You're supposed to find new routes and kind of explore, and that makes it just really cool. It is a game that is, it's like begging you to master it, and you want to do that because you're like, oh, well, what if I do this instead? Oh, that opened up a new route. That's so cool. Even though it can be beaten so quickly, your playthrough can always differ a little bit.
Yeah, and it adds replayability to such a short game.
Yeah, 100%.
Because, I mean, those things were expensive. I think, Star Fox 64 cost the same as Ocarina of Time. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? You gotta
probably.
have
Yeah,
some.
probably. And
Yeah.
that's a good comparison to make.
Oh, and then wasn't that the first game to also come with the Rumble Pack?
You might be right. I
I think it
don't
was the first
know.
N64 game that either made you. I think it was definitely packaged with it.
You might be right. I never bought it until like the GameCube era. Like I didn't own 64 when the Nintendo 64 was like the new console. Like I said, I just played it at my friend's house. So I just bought it like secondhand copies. But you might be right.
I was. Yup.
It's the first game with the Rumble Pack. Yeah, I mean, and
Yup.
look at it now. That is, yeah. I mean, and now that's everywhere. That's just a standard feature. That's cool.
And that felt so good.
Yeah.
I did get to play it with the Rumble Pack. Obviously not as much as I played the 3DS version, but it did feel good. I mean, like you said, it's a standard feature now in almost every game you play nowadays.
Yeah. And I remember, I do remember going over to my
that
friends.
level of immersion.
No, it 100% did. I remember when I went over to my friends, he was like, hold on a sec, I can't play this yet. I was like, why? And he stuck this thing in the back of the controller. I was like, what is that? He's like, oh, it's the Rumble Pack. And I was just like 8 years old and my mind was blown.
Yeah, man.
No, it's
that, especially back then, you know, when graphics obviously, well, actually, then again, people didn't realize that back then. That was the hottest thing.
Oh yeah, the game looked incredible at the time.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that generation graphics don't. I mean, obviously, they don't have like very interesting art styles. Like, you know, you can go back to SNES games. I think that, I guess what I'm trying to say is that generation, I think, has aged the worst. GameCube games can hold up pretty well because they always have like a pretty interesting art style generally. SNES games, obviously.
GameCube's been really weird on that end. Yeah, for sure.
SNES games still look, great.
Oh my god, Super Metroid. Oof.
But 64 games don't look bad. But at the time, I mean, Star Fox 64, comparing it to the others, it is a good looking game. I mean, it was doing things no other game had done before. And I mean, as a kid, my mind was blown, even if
it was also pretty creepy, man. That, oh
yeah.
Heavy spoiler territory. Oops. But, what was it? The brain? Andros, when you fought Andros, I think it was after the monkey head, right? Was the brain?
Yeah.
Because that was the final.
Well, yeah, that game is dark. You bring up a good point. This game is kind of dark for a Nintendo game. Now that I'm like kind of thinking about it, the Nintendo 64 was kind of dark. Same with Ocarina of Time.
And then Majora's Mask takes that a step further.
Jeez, what? Somebody got hurt at Nintendo, and they took it out on all of us.
Yeah, man, dude. Fox was on a quest.
Yeah, well, because didn't like his
Venge is dead.
Yeah, like I just remember fighting like Wolf and like Pigma and stuff, and I was like, oh, this is like
because James McLeod was murdered by Andros.
Yeah, and I just remember like I probably wasn't even playing it, my friend was, but I was just like, this is insane. Like we have to stop him. Yeah, that
game. Those were fantastic, man. Going back to before when you mentioned the 360 fights.
Yeah, those are pretty cool.
All the shit talking between like Wolf and Fox and all that, like it was just so good.
Yeah.
I'm about to look up because I think there was an issue of Nintendo Power back in the day where there was actually lore for Star Fox 64.
Like, what do you mean? Like backstory or like development stuff?
I think there was actually some sort of backstory for Star Fox. It might have been the original. Actually,
well, I think 64 is like a retelling of the original. I could be wrong though.
Yeah, you might be right.
And that's kind of what I was saying. Like there was one Star Fox game, and then they remade it, and then it was like perfect, and then
which was the best move they could have done.
And now they don't know what to do with Star Fox, and so whenever they get stuck, they just kind of go back to the remaking well. And most of the time, it works out fine, like the 3DS version. But then sometimes you get like Star Fox Zero, which doesn't work as well.
That's you mentioned the 3D version again, and Zero. We'll get back to that for sure. But it's like, yeah, they had to re-release that again. And it sold really well, but it's like, yeah, where do we go from this title? Because Star Fox 64 was such a groundbreaking title for the N64.
Yeah.
That it's like, yeah, they're really, I don't know. I actually have no answer because Star Fox Zero, again, like you said, kind of went back to that. It's just the controls were god awful.
Yeah.
I was so excited for that game too, and it was more of the same with worse controls. That's all it was.
Zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
They tried to put new stuff in there, and then it didn't pan out. Clearly.
Yeah, I was interested in it, and then I was like, oh wait, it's a remake of 64. I'll just play 64.
And that's the better option.
Like I was kind of interested in Star Fox 64 3D, just because I liked 64 so much, but I just never got around to picking it up because the 3DS had such a strong library. But yeah, Zero, just the puppets were kind of, I don't know. It
was a nice game. I think it was close to. It was a launch window.
It Star was, Foxes. Yeah, the Wii U. I also just never played the Wii U because I was.
Sorry, 64 3D.
Oh, you're right. It
was a launch window.
I didn't get the 3DS at launch. There was already a healthy library, so like on launch, I picked up like Ocarina of Time and Animal Crossing and Mega 10, I think.
Was it 4?
4. Probably yeah, 4, it was 4. So those were kind of the big games I picked up.
Mm-hmm.
And and Mario 64, or not 64, Mario 3D World or Land, 3D Land World's the Wii one.
3D Lands was 3DS, yeah.
Yeah, good game.
So too. I do hope that Nintendo can take the franchise in a different direction and build upon what Star Fox 64 laid out.
Yeah,
because it is such a fantastic game. I don't know where Nintendo goes from here. Clearly, we haven't seen a new one since 2016. So,
yeah, I hope we do too. I mean, they're kind of in this like phase of remaking all these GameCube games. So hopefully, they get around to remaking Adventure Assault, and we can kind of show Nintendo that we want. People still want Star Fox, so hopefully they listen.
I'm dying inside for Adventure, man. I'm probably like the only person clamoring for Adventure to come back outside of you too.
I'm actually not, because I bought a GameCube. I rebought a GameCube a couple of years ago, like 2 or 3 years ago, and then they opened up a retro game store pretty close around that time. So my brother actually picked me up a copy for Christmas that year. He gave me a copy of Adventure, so I've got a copy of Adventure, so I'm good. I mean, I would probably play it again if it came out on the Switch, just because it's easier to play stuff handheld. But I've got my old GameCube copy if I really need to go back to it. But I do have it on game. I don't have Assault. I need Assault.
I still got my copy. Thankfully, in my, I don't even know what you want to call it, just my Armageddon or whatever of selling my GameCube collection.
The Purge.
Thankfully. Yeah, Purge. There we go. My Armageddon. In my great GameCube Purge of 2020, when I moved into my own apartment, we talked about it last time, having to sell Luigi's Mansion, this, that, and the third was just killer. But I still have my copy of Star Fox Adventure and Assault, thankfully intact.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to mention this. I know I made you feel a little bit better by telling you Noah sold his copy of Path of Radiance. To make you feel,
it's hard. I feel
to make you feel even better. Not only did Noah sell Path of Radiance, he also sold Chibi Robo.
Oh,
yeah,
oh.
Yeah. Like,
I grabbed my chest for that one, dude.
Yeah, I was like, that's so we still got our Gacha Force, and that's the most expensive one.
Oh, there you go.
So I'm happy we kept that. All right, well, I'm ready to give a verdict. I feel like there's not a whole lot to talk about this game, because it is just like an arcadey game. There's no real plot. It is just everything's good. The characters are good, the controls are good, the replayability is great. I mean, is there anything else you kind of want to talk about for 64?
No, but you know what?
What?
Initially, I was going to put it in my top 100. But I think in this case, like after having this long discussion, because I haven't thought about it in a while, I don't think it's going to be in my top 100. I don't know if it's going to be, it's not in the top 100.
Oh, man.
It's a fantastic game, but there's a lot of not like 10 out of 10 video games out in the world that I could think of, and Star Fox 64 does not make my cut.
Okay. we've got a problem then, because I want it on the list.
Do you want it on the list?
I do. Noah and I have never not agreed, so I'm not sure what to do here.
And it's crazy because I was. It's such an influential title. It's so fun, but I'm also thinking like, there's been other games that like I don't know.
Yeah,
if we're talking Star Fox the franchise, it's number one. That's like, I don't think there's contesting that unless you just have your your adventure for, you know, and I love adventure
unless
to
you
death,
hate
but
Star Fox and love Zelda, then then you'll think adventure's better.
No, Star Fox 64 is the best Star Fox game. Yeah, I don't know. After we talked about it on this episode, I'm just like, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay, well, here's what. Let's do this. I might have to give the tiebreaker to Noah. Is he awake? I wonder if I can text him right now. He might be teaching children. I'm gonna text him.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. The plot thickens.
Yeah. All right, I just texted him. We'll see.
I'm glad we had this discussion because it really went from yes to our initial phone call.
I sent him a text. Should Star Fox 64 be on the list? Is our sister's birthday today or the 8th? Also, which version? All right.
In general.
Yeah.
I guess you'd say.
I said
yeah, because we're going to lump. When we say Star Fox 64, we mean the whole package.
Yeah, I said the OG or in general. I know that me texting is so much fun to listen to. But
will Noah put it on the list?
I don't know. He was responding super fast, and now that he knows the question, now he's not. So
maybe he's formulating a well thought response.
Maybe he might be, but he's on iPhone, and I don't see the little butt and the little dots. So I don't know. Well, here's what we'll do. So we'll hold off. Let's do what we've been playing, and then if we get I'll interrupt with a special news bulletin if Noah gets back to me, and if he doesn't get back to me, then maybe we'll put Star Fox 64 on like the wait list to see if it can get on the list. And as we start, because kind of I've got a long-term plan where once I get to like 50 or so on this list, I'll probably will do like a culling where I'll get rid of some stuff.
You are the weakest link.
Yeah, so maybe at some point I'll view it and see what we should do.
Will Star Fox get the marshmallow?
Yeah.
Will it get booted off the island?
Okay. So let's just wait to see what Noah says. Oh God, Noah, that's not helpful at all.
What happened?
I'm not sure. It's a good game, but maybe not top 100. But then again, it still holds up very well. God, no.
I don't know. See,
I have to hear arguments before deciding.
That is exactly the boat I'm in right now. I'm in the exact same boat because it is a fantastic game. But then I can think of other better games.
But
it's also like it's in a league of its own with its gameplay. Because what else do you compare it to? Space Harrier? That's the only thing I think of on top of my head. At the top of my head. There was another game, I think it was on NES, that was like that. But yeah, I can't think of too many. Would you be safe calling it a 3D shmup? That's what I would call it.
Yeah, like an on-rail shooter.
Yeah, I've totally forgot about that term.
Like, and there's like
Sin and Punishment.
Yeah, like Legend of Dragoon, I think that's another one.
Yeah.
But Star Fox is so much better than both of those. Not that those are necessarily bad, but like they're not Star Fox. Oh man, Noah, I don't know why I thought you'd come in clutch this time.
That was perfect.
That's
honestly,
so funny.
It gives so much suspense, right? It's so suspenseful.
Well, I'm not sure. God, Noah.
See, I knew I wasn't crazy. I almost thought I was crazy. I was like,
No, I
no.
see where you're coming from. To be clear, I'm not asking to put it at like 50 or even like 60. I would probably put
It's
it.
at the gate.
Yeah, like we've got
Like
Luigi's
he's
Mansion at 95, and I don't think Star Fox 64 is really worse than Luigi's Mansion.
where'd you put Luigi's Mansion in the 90s?
95.
I guess it's really subjective.
It is.
That's the thing about this, because like some people will like something that's god awful and that will mean the world to them just because of what they got out of it. Everybody who had a GameCube growing up probably has their own story with Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah.
And it could be a top 10 of all time for somebody. Luigi's Mansion lives in my head rent free though to this day. Like it's crazy how these games we played as children really just you like there's not a day that goes by where I don't think about Ocarina of Time, like even for a few seconds, if it's a song or just anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll think about Donkey Kong Country at some point during the day. Luigi's Mansion comes up.
See, now that I'm like looking at Luigi's Mansion, I think Star Fox, in my opinion, I think Star Fox 64 is the better game.
Than Luigi's Mansion?
Yeah. Not by a lot. Not by a lot, but it's at least close.
You know what? I was going to say, yes, I like Luigi's Mansion more, but I don't want to compare those two.
They are very different.
Are you just saying what's a better crafted video game? Or are you just saying what you think is better? What you think is more fun?
I think Star Fox 64, I don't know if it's a better crafted video game, but it's just, I think it's more fun to play.
So it kind of strikes your fancy a little bit more.
Just like if I'm thinking about like if I had 30 minutes and somebody gave me Luigi's Mansion and Star Fox 64.
Oh, yeah.
I would play Star Fox 64. Like you immediately get into the action and you're just playing it and you're having fun. Whereas Luigi's Mansion is a little slow to start. It's a really good game. It's on our top 100.
You know. Mm-hmm.
But like thinking about it, I think it is more fun to play. Maybe not an overall better package, but it's a more fun game to play.
Luigi's Mansion tickles my fancy a little bit more
because
I'm a horror nut too. I love Nintendo and I love horror, so it's like it is a perfect video game for me.
Yeah.
I would put Luigi's Mansion in my top 50. I'll give it top 50, not top 25. I'll give it top 50. Yeah, I would.
Oh.
I've replayed it a bunch of times. I used to do it traditionally. It's just I don't have a modded GameCube and I don't have a good CRT TV.
Fair.
So
I need to pick up that. I've been meaning to.
I could play it on my computer.
That's illegal. That puts you in that. Nintendo won't be happy with that.
Yeah. Nintendo, please.
Oh man,
I might want to work for you one day.
Yeah,
please.
yeah. Don't do that. Don't worry. You've never done that. You've never played anything
right
outside of.
It's like one of those allegedly kind of things.
Yeah.
Or like,
oh, prove it.
So we have no answer from Noah. We have
no answer. And the whole point of this podcast is to, you know what?
Star Fox might be on the list, man.
I'm putting it at 100.
Okay, so it's the gatekeeper.
It is. It'll be what everything is judged against. I think that's a good spot for it. I think the fact that all three of us are, because some game has to be 100.
We're almost in the same boat, because it's like, all right, so if it's outside the top 100 for me, it would probably be in the 110s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So if I'm like, oh, it's got to be in the 90s, and we split that difference, which I talked to
Noah
Noah
about. We're all close here.
Yeah. I think that's a good game. Like, I think that's a good, like, because some game has to be 100. I think that's a good game. Like, well, is it better than Star Fox 64? Yes. Okay, then it's probably going to make it on the list. No, it's probably not going to make it on the list.
Oh, that's how we judge it. Is it better than Star Fox 64 or is it not?
Yeah, it gives us a nice reference. I think that's a good reference point for now.
It's a good gatekeeper.
And then if we find another game that we feel like is a better gatekeeper, then maybe we kick that to 100 and then Star Fox 64 gets booted off the list. But I think that I'm happy with this at 100, actually. I think this is where it belongs.
Yeah, so it's crazy. We're all kind of in the same ballpark.
The fact that we're also wishy-washy means I think that it should be on the list for now. Again, when the list is all said and done, maybe it won't stay there.
Because I said yes. Our initial phone call to each other was, yeah, it's in my top 100.
I was unsure until I started talking about it.
And see, it's the opposite for me. We started talking about it, and I'm like,
well, actually,
actually,
I don't think it's good anymore.
Like hopping in the R-Wing.
Star Fox 64.
Look, man, all I'm trying to say is hopping in the R-Wing sometimes is dope, but like, I don't know.
So it's sucking up ghosts with a vacuum.
That's kind of where I'm at. That's my mental right now. Like,
no, I get it. If somebody said it like I said, I wasn't surprised. I was more just like, oh shit, now what do we do? But no,
good. I'm glad, and that kind of ruffled the feathers a little bit.
Yeah, because I was like, this is kind of boring because we're just like, oh, the game's good, and then we got to this and we're like, oh no. And it was bound to happen at some point where there was a disagreement.
Yeah, there wasn't much for us to say at times because it's like arcadey shooter, but it's fantastic. I swear.
Yeah.
But there's no story.
Yeah.
but then again, I mean, that's not an argument for Nintendo games anyways.
No. Okay, cool. Well, Star Fox is on the list at 64. At 64.
At 64.
Yeah, at 100. It's the 100th game on the top 100 games of all time. Barely made the cut. Might not make the cut, but it's there for now. So now we can go to our final section of the show. Mike, what have you been playing? You talked a little bit about DreamWorks Kart Racer.
Yeah. So in the past week, I still haven't cleaned up Spidey 2 yet, as in getting the platinum. I'm going to come back to that at some point because I'm about to be playing Nick All-Star Brawl soon.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah, but DreamWorks Kart Racer, me and my roommate had a blast. You know, like, sure, it wasn't like something I would have went out of my way to buy. I think DreamWorks Kart Racer is a good stocking stuffer for family.
Cool.
Definitely. Like it's worth it at that level for $40.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been playing that. I haven't been able to do much of gaming this week outside of that though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a busy week. There's been other stuff grabbing my attention in the music world.
Oh, cool.
So gaming has been a little bit of a backseat this week.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Cool. I've been playing.
So what have you been playing?
So I did my review for a game called Quantum Error. That was the game I talked about last week that I couldn't talk about. That game sucks. That game is so bad, and it is $60.
Thanks for taking one for the team because I was supposed to review that.
Yeah, you told me that. I was so mad. I was like, "Are you kidding me?"
Yeah,
that game.
Yeah, that's your hazing.
You're right. This was my first review, and
it was hazing season.
Yeah, it was. Like that game,
it had so much promise. It did, so,
and even so the game starts and the cutscene's weird and it's kind of creepy, and I'm like, okay, this is creepy, but like I can get on board. And then as soon as I started playing it, I was like, oh, it doesn't feel great, but it might just, it's okay. I can do this. I kind of there's enough here to maybe keep me going. And then you kind of get through like the tutorial sections and you get into like the actual game. And it just absolutely falls apart. The plot makes no sense. The game is so buggy, and it's clunky. Every time it's a survival horror game. You're opening up a lot of boxes for supplies. Every time you have to open a box, you have to switch to your crowbar. But sometimes the weapon wheel just won't pop up.
Oh, that's gross. You can't just smash the box?
No, there's no just melee button unless you have a melee weapon equipped. And it's bad enough, but it takes like 3 seconds just to switch weapons. And that's assuming the weapon wheel comes up when it's supposed to. And sometimes you'll hold down the D-pad to bring it up and the screen will slow down, like it wants to bring up the wheel, and it just doesn't. And then sometimes even when you pick the weapon, it'll do the weapon next to the one you want to pick. So then you have to switch to the crowbar again and hope that the wheel brings up this time. It is. And then checkpoints are bad. It's a survival horror game, and there are some enemies that are just invisible. And
the checkpoints are bad.
The checkpoints are bad, and like
they're bad.
They're just like, because you can only. So first of all, this game only has one save file. So if you do something bad,
what the fuck?
Yeah, there's only one. And there was a bug where I just skipped an entire section of the game.
Oh, dude.
Like it is, and it's like the game is made by 4 people, and I'm like, that is admirable that 4 people were able to put this thing out. But they're charging $60 for it.
You get Tunic, which I think was one guy.
You can get Alan Wake 2 for the same price. Like at that point, you're not competing on, well, yeah, but our 4 people made this, and Alan Wake was made by a bunch of people. Then why is it the same price?
Yeah, no, that's not cool, dude.
No, like there's some good ideas. I like the firefighting puzzle solving aspect stuff. But yeah, stay away from this game. It's not good. That was actually really good. That's really good. That was not a sound clip. That was just you. That's awesome.
That was a stinker.
But I've been playing good stuff still. I 100%.
Yeah, like mouthwash. Yeah, you need some mouthwash, man.
I 100% in Mario Wonder today.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's have you?
I'm only in the 4th world still.
Okay,
but I do look forward to it. Especially the hard levels. How were those? Without spoiling. Like the Star World.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're definitely hard. The last one is pretty tough. And then the final one. So there's like the final test, which is pretty tough. That took me quite a few tries. And then there's the final test.
Is this like Dark Side of the Moon type stuff, like from Odyssey? That level of brutality. That I still haven't beat that level.
Maybe it's the final test is pretty tough. The nice thing is there are checkpoints, but it's a lot of trial and error. It is not. I 100% believe it is impossible to beat these on your first try. You will, in fact, there's several sections. I think you'll die at least a couple times each section, but it's still like, I don't know. It's still worth doing.
I want that. You know what? I want that from a Mario game. I'm happy because I've been playing this series too damn long.
Yeah.
So, because most of Wonder I've been breezing through. When I was playing it, I was breezing through it.
Yeah. No. And
of course,
me too.
It's a smart move.
Mm-hmm.
It's a family game first and foremost.
Yep.
And then they did it so brilliantly, man. Do all the hard stuff, if you want. Like that's all optional.
Yeah. No, I think this is a good way to put it. And I liked, I had, and that was kind of my thing. I beat it and I was like, well, I still want to play it. And that's why I went and did the 100%. And then I got to like basically once you get the 100%, then you unlock one final level.
Ooh, cool.
So yeah, if you want the final challenge, you do have to get all the stands, reach the top of the flagpole on all levels, and get all the flower coins. And then you
unlock. You really get your money's worth.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy with it.
I already felt that at 4 worlds in.
Oh, I felt but I felt it pretty soon. But I was like, I want to keep playing it. I just want to keep playing it, and so that's what I did. And that last level was a little bit more difficult than I would have liked. But I got through it, and I felt pretty satisfied afterwards. So, and I'm glad.
Last question I have for you on Wonder. It is still too early, right? You don't want that recency bias. Like I'm still firm on my decision. It is my favorite 2D Mario of all time.
Yeah,
but is it still? I understand if it is too recent.
I think it is still too recent, but like if I had to answer right now, I think I probably do like it better than World.
Are you like almost at a tie, or you think like slightly above World at the moment?
I think it's close
because it's hard.
It depends on
Mario World is such a perfect game.
Yeah, if it's one of those things where it depends on the day, depends on my mood. It's also tough to compare because I did just play Wonder, so it's fresh in my mind. I remember exactly how good that game is. I knew exactly how I was feeling the whole time I was playing it. World I haven't played in a while, so I probably should go back and play World and just kind of see. And maybe I will, because now that I have 100% of Wonder, oh, sorry guys, I just kicked over something. Now that I have 100% of Wonder, I'm like, well, maybe I should go back and play some more. But yeah,
Nice, man.
Yeah,
That's
I really
awesome.
enjoyed it, and
I'm glad you got to do that even during a crazy week.
Yeah, that's why I love the Switch, man. I can just play it on my lunch break. I can just, if my fiance wants to watch TV or something, I can just sit on the couch with her, play it. I can tear through any Switch games, which is why I haven't been playing Spider-Man. So I'm glad that I finished up Quantum Error because that was taking up my PlayStation time. And now that I've finished Wonder, I'm ready to just try to barrel through some Spider-Man and try to get that platinum. And
enjoy it.
I am.
Enjoy it. I don't think last week I had it beat at that point.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I think you said you were getting close.
I did beat it, and it's fantastic.
Cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I played it a little bit today, but not too long.
Yeah, savor it.
Cool. Well, that about wraps it up, Mike. Before we get out of here, what do you want to plug?
So you guys, again, like last week, follow me on Twitter. Well, sorry, X. Still getting used to that. At Chipmunks Mikey. Also, unrelated, gotta get it out there. I gotta do a huge shout out to Peter Jackson. Thank you so much for that music video for the new Beatles song. That was everything I could have wanted, and that's been taking me away from the gaming world this week, but I have to just put it out there. Peter Jackson is a genius.
Yeah, so, he is.
I got a shout out to Peter Jackson. And for my YouTube channel, so Spider-Man is still in the works, and I was actually working on it the other day until I got asked to do DreamWorks kart racing.
Yeah, that was also my fault. I was asked to do that, but I was driving to LA, and I was like, I literally will not be able to play this at all.
And I'm glad I took it, though. It's still a fun game. The YouTube thing is a backseat for now. Spider-Man is still planned to come out at some point, but like I said, game journalism takes a little more precedence. But I am Mikey Chipmunks on YouTube, at Chipmunks Mikey on X, and you can catch me on Noobfeed and Gamescreed, as well as our host.
Yep. Pretty much nailed it. I don't know why our outro's not playing. Oh, well, it might help if I had the sound up. Our outro's not playing. I don't know why, so maybe I just won't do our outro. I'll put it in post or something. Anyway, yeah. Thank you to Pecan Pie on Upbeat for our intro and outro songs. If you liked this episode, please give us a rating and review and follow so more people can find us and check it out. We still want to grow a little bit. We're still in our infancy, which is why we made sure to do an episode this week because I was driving to LA and then flying back. So I wanted to make sure I got something out there. You can find other episodes of this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. You can find me on Twitch at Smesty. And yeah, you can find my Quantum Error review on Noobfeed. So yeah, thanks again for listening, and we will see you guys all next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
Peace.